Hello, hello, hello. Do a little quick little sound check, see if you guys can hear me. I see the red bar moving, but it's not as high as it normally is, but it tends to adjust automatically. So see if you guys can hear me. Oh geez, 3 fake outs. What? What? Fake outs with what? Oh, you guys will see. Um, we all try to get. You better get a ticket now, right? Did I not hit the button? No, there's 3 people with tickets. Debbie, Will, and Sean have tickets. Right there. I see it. I see it. You guys have some tickets. Oops. Right there. Oh, there's a public page. What does the public page look like? Oh, I didn't realize that there's actually a public page for it where you can buy it. Interesting. Interesting. But yes, so you guys will see that there is a the giveaway tonight is not for pip chips. It did. No, you know what? It may not. That may be a setting. I don't know. I'm not sure. When I was in there, I don't think I can. I can't change the settings once it's there. Yeah, I don't know. I can't. Yeah, I can't. I can't change the settings once the giveaway is live. But it is for. Don't forget, and you guys can see it. It says the weekly game plan this week. So, and each additional ticket is going to be 20 pip chips. But so yes, it's for a 1 month weekly news report. So you get basically 4 reports out of winning tonight. So it'll be kind of fun to give away. But yeah, it doesn't have the confirmation. It's funny. You know what else I noticed in there? There is actually a slider, and again, I had the slider set at 0. I didn't have anything, and I probably should have like waited to start the contest. But basically, there's a slider that you can give more luck to subscribers. I have it set just as even right now, but yeah, so you can have it set to where there's more luck for subscribers to the channel, which I thought was interesting. I didn't realize that that was actually an option. I was like, oh, okay, sure. So yeah, that was an option. All right. So I hope everybody had a good day. Funny enough, when I was like, talking last night about, the markets going down, it went farther down today than I thought. I was looking at some of the retraces today, and I was like, my God. Hold on one sec. Great. Picking up the one kid in the morning. I'm pretty sure that slider is set to. I feel like at this point, you know what? After we do the drawing today, I will go ahead and make sure that I make sure that you guys can see that it is set. I will copy it so you guys can see it and see that that is not the truth. Because I know you feel like there is some hacking going on, but no, that's not the case. So yeah, and it's not even like I said, Ernest wins, but Ernest is always here. I don't know. Like I don't know. I feel like you guys jump on him, but he's here every single night. He never misses. So I feel like that's why he wins more, is because if you're not here, you can't win. So in his defense, but I don't think he's the biggest winner so far in 2020. But he is the I don't think I've missed one. Will, actually, you're still in the pip chips lead, so I know that you haven't missed one either. Now, it may not be set to Ernest, but maybe it is set not Will. That's the only thing I can think of. If that's a setting, I don't know. Maybe I'll check. But you are still the Pip Chips leader. You've been able to stay ahead of Ernest, and even though he's won a couple times, he's actually used some stuff and purchased some stuff. So, but maybe that's the case. I don't know. Anyway, let's look into the markets. So Euro really kind of had an uneventful day, right? Just kind of a slow grind. A majority of that is in the last 60 minutes. You can see we're down 12 again, so not a ton of movement there. Pound only down 31, and again, some of that is retracing back. It kind of was all, kind of back and forth. Dollar yen, you can see that one is up 70, but it was actually up even more than that. You can see in the last 60 minutes, been, down almost 1% in the last 60 minutes. So that one is definitely obviously up, been kind of back and forth. Dollar Swiss, nada. 0, 5 pips in 24 hours. So nothing really, super exciting to talk about there. Again, that's kind of how I feel about that for most cases. Dollar CAD up 39, and I'd say a nice chunk of that is within the last hour. You can see it's up 0.05 or 0.04 in the last hour. So that's not horrible. Aussie dollar down 41. Again, this thing is just getting beat up even more. Some more dollar strength in that one. And then euro pound you can see up just slightly, right? And then pound yen up 58. So that one, again, that one was kind of split, right? The pound dollar was down, pound yen up, right? But then you also see over here again, we're having that same yen weakness that we had yesterday. But overall, again, like I said, I mentioned this a few times this week. This is definitely a trader's market, not a swing market. And the indices today were obviously proof of that. Okay. Now, looking at the news for today, so we can kind of do a bit of a recap. Interesting enough, new loans kind of came in above expected. Retail sales came in better than expected for the pound. Okay. It's supposed to be 0.7, and actually, they adjusted this from, what was it? Last time it came in. Yeah, they adjusted it. It actually wasn't as bad as they thought it was. So it kind of got like a double plus, which again is good, everybody's been having all this gloom and doom on the pound, but yet the numbers are starting to get a little bit better for the currency. So, not horrible, right? We had ECB policy notes. Not a whole lot came from that. Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, 36. That's good, right? That is good. Again, it was expected to be 10, going back up to 36 is good for the currency. Oil, okay, we did not have a huge miss in oil, but again, not bad, right? Almost basically 3 mil, right? Again, we've had it in the other direction a lot lately, right? We've seen it in the other direction where they keep kind of overhitting. This time they did okay with it. They came pretty close to the forecast. It was, slightly different. It is colored green, but for the most part, again, it missed by 3 mil. On the opposite direction. And then we had the talks tonight. Now, as far as looking at the news today, again, I'll click this so you guys can get the most recent up-to-date 5, 7, and 9. It's funny, that 5, 7, and 9, there's actually a streamer that my kids will watch, and I'll watch his videos. That's what he always talks about. He talks about Skycam, and it's absolutely hysterical. I'm pretty sure the guy's a full-time streamer. He streams a couple different like mobile games and stuff like that. But that's what he always says. He's like from Skycam, 5, 7s, and 9s. My one son said it today. I was like, did you just say what I think you said? And he's like, I don't know, did I? It's like, oh God, don't run around saying that. As you can see, inside of the news, really not too much, right? We have one, coronavirus likely to hit supply chains, tourism, and exports. Obviously, tourism, that's expected, right? I mean, obviously, tourism is kind of a, they got that down, right? And again, coronavirus to hammer Japan and the yen. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Supply chain and exports, kind of the same thing. Maybe a little bit on exports. I don't see that being an issue because again, understand like he says it's going to hammer exports, but all right, here's why that's not actually true. Okay, what's happening to the yen right now? Is it getting stronger or weaker? Right, it's obviously getting weaker. We're seeing it against everything. It's getting weaker and weaker and weaker, which means all these currencies, like with the dollar over there, you can spend, you can buy more and more and more yen, right? Which means exports are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, which means people will buy more and more and more of them. So like this whole thing, it's like, oh, our exports are going to be bad. No, your exports are probably not going to be bad. It is 13, Bill. I thought this was the Morgan Stanley. I thought somebody said 16, and it's 13. I thought it was higher than this, but yeah, that's pretty crazy. Morgan Stanley buying E-Trade. Stocks dumping in random fashion, Dow down more than 300. We saw how that turned out, but for the most part, again, nothing really kind of noteworthy, besides this little bit of Japan action. Top news again, obviously it was the stocks dropping, and we saw what happened with that. Besides that, really, not really too much, right? Again, here's the the coronavirus aspect of it again. I believe this is all because Ernest had to mention the coronavirus, and he's waiting for some type of tweet. So this is his fault. We know where to, point the fingers of blame, right? I'm not like Josh. I'm actually here. Oh, hey, in Josh's defense, all right, Josh, if I talk about Josh, he messages me or makes a comment the next morning. So he may not catch it live, but he is watching every single one of the replays. Just FYI, I do know he's watching them because I'm telling you, if you pick on Josh, he'll comment tomorrow morning. That's how it works, right? That's how it works. So that's what we got going on. Tomorrow, Tomorrow we got a bunch of European news early on. Okay, the only thing we have for the dollar tomorrow is this flash manufacturing PMI, which is expected to be 51.5, which is good. It's above 50. And obviously, CAD core resale sales and retail sales numbers, those will be coming in. That'll be interesting to see if we get a bump in Canadian dollar tomorrow. And again, that would be a candidate for a parabolic retracement. But look at all this data. I mean, we have French, German, and then the overall European. So this stuff is pretty interesting because again, last time we had some negatives. This one is at 51. It's kind of close. We're at 50 here. This one is way down below 50. The flash PMI, the flash services again 53. The European numbers are down. So we'll see what these have to say, as well as over here the flash manufacturing PMI and flash services hovering right below 50 as well. So if this starts bumping up over 50, again, that also gives a little bit of a bump to the pound. So may give us a little bit more of a rise tomorrow in the pound pairs. It may give us a continued drop in the euro pound. We'll see how that works out. And then obviously the Canadian pop tomorrow, followed by this. Now, if this number is good overall, again, we could see that could be the catalyst we need for the U.S. to end on a positive note. Again, like I said, everybody loves on Friday for the U.S. markets to close high. Make you feel good going into the weekends. Again, today we had the big crash and everyone's like, ooh, and then rally back and people are like, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. Okay, going into tomorrow. But like I said, a lot of this is early morning, which means with all the European news and pound news super early, it means the markets will probably drive very, very fast. The European session will most likely be the mover tomorrow. Obviously, it's just, we're in the Asian session right now for the last day of the week. And then, obviously European session, U.S. session. But I expect the U.S. session will probably be a bit slower because there's so much news for the European market to, react to, European traders. Okay? All right, looking at the scanner. All right. Scanner got some interesting things going on. Right. I was looking at this right before we started chart school. I was actually at the computer a couple minutes early, and I was like, this is what you would call all over the place. All right. There's a lot of boxes here. Look at these majors. Basically, everything is in some type of setup or formation right now. Everything, right? Uptrend setup, uptrend setup. Again, dollar leading, dollar leading. Dollar in secondary position, downtrend setup, downtrend setup. Okay. Then we have this one, obviously. Sideways down confirmed. Again, the Aussie and New Zealand both getting beat up pretty bad. And then dollar CAD, we have an anchor break to the top side. It was going down, but now it's showing that we have an anchor break, down, and then downtrend setup. So again, this anchor break may be just flipping back and forth between anchor break and a down or some type of a setup position, right? So we'll see. But for the most part, everything over here is US based and in some type of a setup, which is pretty interesting. Looking at the European basket again, New Zealand sideways. Sideways biased up, right, for Euro New Zealand. Euro pound, bam, uptrend setup. We're still talking about that one, kind of obviously pulling back a little bit, and you're seeing it in lower time frames. It is pulling back, right, and then it's in a consolidation phase. So definitely got to check this one out to see if this one is still, rallying higher. But again, I think there's some pound strength coming in, and it only moved 8 pips today. So, and most of it's being eaten up over the last little bit, right? Euro Aussie setup, and again, downtrend setup on the euro dollar. Remember, we saw that the euro dollar, basically the euro in general, was getting beat up. Tomorrow, this may actually continue, and the euro is kind of approaching areas where, we got to start looking at it almost like it's the Aussie, right? I mean, Aussie was getting beat left and right, sideways, down, and it's still being pushed down, right? Still going farther down. The question is the euro going to be in the same situation? Will we get even lower, with where that one's going to be? Like I said, we're not quite down to a parity level yet, but could that be on the way? I mean, if the numbers are bad tomorrow, we're not going to parity tomorrow, obviously. But what is it setting up for? And at this point too, I mean, I haven't saw anything yet. I mean, has anybody seen major cases or major statements about the coronavirus effect? How is it going to affect the economy or anything like that in Europe now? So I mean, you still got that kind of catalyst, but they definitely have some slowing, and we'll see what these numbers say tomorrow. So the numbers could say something pretty big, which would continue this pressure to the downside. So definitely interested in that. Looking at the CAD basket is a kind of, again, when the CAD is in the first pair or in the first position, you're seeing that it's positive, right? Uptrend set up. And again, anything against the yen right now is obviously not, is going higher. As soon as it switches, again, we have downtrend setup. So again, we have it moving up just slightly. I mean, it's up 33 today in this position. Again, this would be, that the CAD weakness right now. Euro CAD basically consolidating, not really doing much. Again, it's like this one is kind of a weakness on top of weakness. Aussie CAD, right? Even though Aussie is getting beat, 12 ways to Sunday, right? Sideways down, sideways down, sideways down. Still, CAD is still able to kind of beat this one out, right? And then again, you're seeing CAD strength here, CAD strength here. All right, against all these other pairs. But again, against Euro CAD, again, you guys can see it's just flat across the board on both sides, right? Here, here, here. Consolidations, downtrend, low. Australia, next one. Consolidation against New Zealand. Again, that was the same thing we had last night. Not surprised in that one. How come my scanner is different than yours? I'm using Oanda. I have my live accounts patched in this one. I don't know. Do you have the FXCM demo in? That's probably why. If it's different. No, remember I have my live accounts over at Oanda. That could be why. How different is it? And when did you stop it and restart it? See if it catches up. Sometimes based off when the candles are formed, it will. You know, I always do it fresh when I'm using it during the day. I'll always like lean over and get a fresh one every so often. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it'll be slightly different. It shouldn't be too bad. Start it and stop it and see if it's different. So like here, I'll start my. Nothing really changes. The weighting will change a little bit, but it shouldn't have changed anything else. But Aussie. So uptrend set up against the Aussie yen. Okay, again, that's one of those pairs that is that one's been moving, right? That one has actually had some movement back and forth, and that one, interesting enough, again, we had it pop up into an area, and it's literally bouncing back and forth. You guys will see that chart in a second, but there's been some play in that one. Then consolidation, Aussie CAD sideways down. We just talked about that. Aussie Swiss anchor break, so that one is going weak, weak, weak all the way across the board. Anchor break to the downside, sideways down confirmed, and then again consolidation on the 1 hour, but it's nighttime, so it's not surprising. And then the sideways down confirmed versus the dollar on the daily, 4 hour and 1 hour. All right. So going to the last one, pound basket. Right side, check the pound out, right? Euro is still kind of like, some consolidation, not many setups. Look at this one. Setup, 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 confirmed, anchor break. So this is just like the majors, right? Majors are on the left, pound is on the right. Talk about the two bookends of trade setups right now, okay? We have downtrend setups in the pound dollar, pound CAD, pound Swiss. We have uptrend setups in the pound yen, which again was up 65 today. Pound New Zealand is sideways up confirmed. Again, that was a little crazy, but across the board has given us the up signal. And then pound Aussie, anchor break to the top side, confirmed, confirmed. All right, so again, giving us a little bit of an idea of what's in control right now. What has some power, what doesn't have some power. And again, look at this. Kind of surprised that the CAD has a little bit in here. But again, not necessarily surprised about much else. And I'm curious to see going into tomorrow. Again, like the biggest question tomorrow is, if some of these numbers are bad, what can happen to the euro? How much can the euro fall tomorrow? Being Friday, and kind of see what we get out of it. All right. So, with that being said, let's go into charts. All right. Try not to go super late tonight. All right. Let's start off with the Aussie dollar. So here's the 4 hour, right? There's the daily. There's the 4 hour. You guys can see we came up and snagged that zone and it collapsed all the way down. We talked about that last night. I could probably take it off, but you guys can see there's a continuation. So here's where we are right now. It's saying that we're at 4. Going back, actually, I guess here's where we were last night. So it did peak back up and then continued to push to the downside. So I'll take this one off just so it's easy. You can see it's marking off this big area up here as a demand zone. Be very cautious. It's just a very big zone. But we're continuing to push to lower. Okay, on 4 hour, you guys can see there's nothing down here, right? Hole. On the daily, nothing down here. Been a long time. Weekly, nothing down here. Been a long time. And then monthly, kind of the same thing. You guys can see. Here we go. This is as far back as they'll let us go on this one, back to 2013. Look at this, right? This is crazy that it's just continuing to push lower and lower and lower, right? This one is it's just been nuts. So again, we're looking for basically areas for this thing to short or continue to go down. You always want to if you're going to continue to take this down, make sure you get into a pullback, which we necessarily haven't had. Hasn't been great pullbacks. Hasn't really been, too many areas where we've been able to do that. This pop, obviously the new spike went into this little zone right here. Yeah, that was a great one. But since that time, we really haven't had a great area. This is not bad if you guys want to mark something off. Marking this area. Let's see. It is 66.48 to 66.54. That's not a bad area for a pop. Here's another little pop area here. It's not as nice as that one, but so there's a couple other ones in here. At this point, I'm waiting for this one just to kind of finish out the day tomorrow, I think. And I want to see what type of gap we have on this one going into the weekend. So Yeah, we're kind of at that stage again. It's Thursday night. We're starting to talk about, all right, where do we want things to end tomorrow? Where will it, where does it set up on Sunday? Again, I'm already starting to think about next week, right? I'm already starting to look into, Sunday night profits. All right. I will say I get very excited every weekend to be doing that weekly report just because they've done so well. It's kind of fun. It's like, oh, it's ready. It's there. All right, let's do it. So not much of a setup on this one, guys. Like I said, it's continuing to push the downside. There's no, recognizable zone sitting there, even up to a monthly. So look for pullbacks in this one to be able to take something to the downside. Really, this one, it's basically turned into kind of a news trade for me right now. Also, New Zealand, obviously, this one is kind of smacked in the middle. And again, as I mentioned last night, being with the New Zealand in here, right? We're going to have this thing kind of going back and forth. And we marked this off yesterday and talked about how it spiked in. And it's just, it's kind of coming down, but it's kind of somewhat forming a wedge, right? We have higher lows, we have lower highs. And you guys can see it's kind of consolidating back and forth, even on the 1 hour. There is a zone slightly above where we are. If you were looking to get into this, and again, there's not necessarily many reasons to do this. Again, it's not trending; it is more or less moving sideways. And even on the 30-minute, you guys can see it's not really leaving the area. I mean, it is kind of bouncing back and forth, but there's really no trend in this one. We can try to play this, kind of, I don't know, consolidating channel. I mean, you guys can see here. Here's a low, here's a low, here's a low, here's a low coming up, and same time it's coming to the downside here. Um, there is this little bit right here, but you know, it requires it to kind of give us a new low, and it's okay, right? It's okay if but again, we're only on the second chart, so I don't feel like we need to put our stamp on that one and say, yep, there's your trade. I just don't know if we're there yet, right? And like I said, it's consolidating in, and typically we want something that's a little bit more trendy to be able to jump in, and it's not there. All right, Aussie yen. All right, so also, yeah, and as you can see, we talked about this before. We were pulling back up again on a daily basis. Yesterday, we ended up digging that line that we've been focusing on, and we ended up dropping down, hitting the wick over wick. We came back up again. We got front run. We actually did not make it back into the trade. Spiked back down to the same area, came up, did not put another, did not put a high in, came back up, and we're right back at the lows again. So you can see we're kind of in that same consolidation period, and you'll notice right here, if you're looking at the top, you'll see the 4 hour and daily. It is giving us an uptrend setup because we are pulling back. It is a red candle on the higher time frame. Problem is we just bounced off a 4 hour zone. So it's kind of one of those things. Be very cautious about going long into this because, again, this is where the gap occurred. We already know that that's there. So, put us right into that level. Looking at it on the 1 hour, you guys can see here, I'm going to stretch it out, make it look really exciting, right? And I guess total, I mean, it's not bad, right? I mean, it's about 40 pips top to bottom. You can see we've literally been bouncing back and forth in this channel, right? Literally coming back, hit the top again, and then just hit the bottom just now, or about half hour ago. Um, but that's all. I wish the top was a little bit smaller. If you shrunk this anymore, I mean, the top section here is about 17 pips, which is too much to play this channel back and forth because it's less than a 2-to-1. If you try to make it a little bit smaller on the lower time frame, we wouldn't have caught entry here. I mean, it's great when I can say, oh look, it just hit 12 times, but the reality is, if we're taking something off of this, we got to make sure there's enough room. Now the 30-minute, right? The 30-minute, it's down to about 12, so you'd be looking at something along those lines. Which that was not bad. But again, you're taking the consolidated, kind of the smaller time frame view, right? And again, you guys can see hit, and all three across on the bottom. So our hit count is actually at 3 already because here's the original zone. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. So I don't think, if it holds this time, I don't think it'll hold again. So just be cautious of that for the next time. Now the top zone, it barely grazed it. It touched it. You guys can see the bump into it. So it did enter. So this may be worth it for another shot. If it does come back up again, we may be able to get into that one short going into tomorrow. If it rallies up to there. But at this point, it's kind of like, we'll see what this zone is able to do here, if it's able to pop it or not. But that happened about 2 hours ago. Hour and a half, 2 hours ago. I guess we're about to finish this one out now. So yeah, so it was 2 hours ago. We hit the zone and then pulled back from it. So again, this is what I'm talking about. On a daily, there's really nothing to trade, right? On a 4 hour, you can say, it's going back and forth. Where's the level of risk? It's huge. It didn't hit that level again. It got smaller and smaller and smaller. As you guys can see on the 1 hour, you can say, yeah, it hit it, but risk-wise, it doesn't make sense. And if we try to make this smaller up top, again, there's nothing there, right? This was that daily zone we were originally, selling off of. And then drop it down with a 30, you can see, yeah, there's a zone here. It hit and went all the way down. Since that time, it has not formed anything new, but it did form a new level here. And then, boom, collapsed. And that's where the second entry was. So one trade here, all right? You had that one trade there, and it hit and collapsed. Came back up again, ended up grazing the top. I mean, it grazed it. I mean, you probably have it here, but there's the actual green. You can see we just would have missed the top there, would have actually tagged it. So this you could have gotten into, but ideally you wouldn't wait till it forms a new zone because it had been kind of going back and forth. And again, it popped down, hit the bottom, came back up, entered, and gone down. So this is what I mean by a trader's market, not a swing market, right? And your total grab on this one would have been for that 3-to-1, about what, 38 pips? Yeah, 38 pips, 38.2. Okay. So again, traders market in this one. We'll see what it's able to do, but keep this zone marked. Even if this thing continues and goes over here, keep this zone marked for next week. This is not a bad zone. It's 74.28 to 74.44. Okay. Your Aussie CAD. So on the scanner, okay, you guys can see that Aussie CAD is sideways down confirm, sideways down confirm, sideways down confirm. So basically just confirm that this thing is in a downtrend. Yep, absolutely. Okay, you can see there's nothing here on the daily. Weekly, same thing. I see no green. Monthly, same thing. There's nothing. So kind of the same situation. Kind of treat it like it's at all-time lows. Excuse me. Even though it's not considered really an all-time low, but it's continuing to push down, and it's not necessarily forming any levels for us to get into this thing. As you can see, we're trailing a lot of levels, but we haven't had too many spikes back up to those levels. It hasn't been there, right? And there's nothing really in here at all. Okay, so again, pushing with not too much place to enter. Let's see where it ends on the weekend, and maybe play a gap on this one for some type of reversal. Aussie Swiss. Okay, Aussie Swiss is also leaving levels in here. Let me get new data for this one to read. Difference with this one, as you can see, oh, look at that. We do have demand in this pair. Okay, there is demand. This one came up and ended up grabbing the gap fill, and it has come up and is now pulling back down. So this one actually does have some demand a bit lower. When we go into the 4-hour, you can see where it is. We're approaching it. Okay, now this level is approximately 24 pips, so it's a little bit big on this pair. This one has got about an 80, is it 8 pips? About 52 pips ATR. So it's got a bit of room to run. Looking at it on the hourly, again, you guys can see there's 2 levels sitting down here that we can potentially grab. So the closest one is about 35 pips, and the far one is about 58. So basically, using the ATR, where it kind of puts us somewhere down here. I love that because if we can continue to push down, that means Sunday night, we are opening up down inside of a demand zone, which is a big yes, 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 yes. All right. Your chart reading has taught me something. I read the chart pre-market and guessed the crash and bought puts. Then it tanked even more when the market crashed around 11. Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Glad you're able to get it. Thank God I'm not all liquid to buy the dips. I'm all liquid to buy. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the best way to do it. If you can buy those dips, then sell it. I mean, that's what you're supposed to be doing, JTech. You're supposed to be buying low and selling high. When it goes up, you sell it. When it comes back down, you buy some more, and then it goes back up again. And just, again, learn how to read the charts. That's awesome. I'm glad. I'm really glad. I love when I hear that people are pulling stuff from chart schools. That's exactly why I do it. Exactly why I do it. So again, guys, this one is potentially going to end up inside of that opening in the Sunday. That's what we love. Those are the trades we get into. And again, that is why I do the report. Going into Aussie Singapore. Look at this thing coming back down again. So had this big spike up, had this kind of, again, it ran into a drop-based drop, came all the way down, skyrocketed up again, and then now it's falling. And remember I talked before about this thing coming all the way back down again? It's moving, right? It is definitely moving. Now, here's the zones that we had popped off of on the 4-hour. Okay, so here's where we are right now. It reads 8 on this one, and here's where we were last night. We had gone up and tagged this, but I remember I told you, you can see the black in there. You guys see it? Look at that. You would have missed it by just a very, very, very tiny spot. Okay, that's what's called being front run. This is called forex bitterness. You missed it by a little bit, and look what it did. It went from here, and it went 114 pips in 24 hours. Straight down off of just a little tiny miss. Forex bitterness, the worst cologne ever. So, again, yeah, we'll see what it does. We'll see if it can pop through here. There may be an entry here if we can get a breakthrough and then push to the downside. I don't know how much it's going to be able to, cut into this tomorrow. Again, you can't see it on the hourly, but you can see it on the 4-hour. I'm thinking this is kind of what I'm thinking right now. I just don't know if we're going to be able to kind of have it breach in. Have enough time to kind of come down and give us some space, right? We could drop to the lower time frame on the hourly and kind of see, do we get a pop below the risk level that was painted on the 4-hour? It's only about 8 pips, so it's not a lot of risk if you take this to the downside. Let's see what it does in that level. And again, I can't really go back. Actually, maybe I can. Let me see. Let's put this right here. Okay, there you go. You can see. So here's where it's starting, right? The last time we had a pop. All right. Price is a little bit above that right now. So not too bad. Like I said, this is just kind of a grind higher. It's not like a defined kind of sideways like this. Like this is definitely up, base, and then pop. This is kind of like grind, 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 and then boom, it popped. And that's kind of where we're at now. So we'll see. If we get through this, I don't think we'll have too much of a problem to the downside. Um, Back and retest. So we'll see. This could be a little Harry Potter trade setup on this one with where we are right now. See if we can get it to break through, come back up and test the zone, and then drop through the bottom. Okay. And again, that was based off the 4 hour. Okay. Like we're looking for a break of this zone. And you guys can see here, actually, there's a there's a wick over wick right below it. So that'll be if it pushes down, that's what it'll run to is that wick over wick. So yeah, come down, grab this, pop up, and then drop. Okay. All right, those are the Aussies. Let's look at the CAD. All right, CAD Swiss. All right, let's bring this back up. On the daily, you can see yesterday we flipped. We came up and started to push back down again and had more or less a down day today. This is what it looked like on lower time frame. We formed a level right here. I'll zoom in so you guys can see it. Again, we formed this level. It came back down. It left, but it didn't leave in like high fashion. Ended up pulling back up and dropping lower. So, this is kind of what it looks like. In the lower time frame. Obviously, you can see here it got really, really shallow, right? I mean, it's none of these candles are really amazing. This is a little bit of a push down, but I mean, is there anything amazing in here? Not really. No, I mean, there's nothing in here that explodes off, so not too much. Again, CAD Swiss is not the most exciting thing to trade in the world, and both of them are really showing weakness right now. On the daily, it looks great because it's really, really, it explodes higher. But again, it looks great when it's like this, right? Man, there's so much movement in that pair. What pair is that? CAD Swiss, the daily ATR is 37 pips. 37. So it's actually more like this. This is what it is. But that's harder to read. So I was like, yeah, but that's not really that exciting. It's 37 pips. That's like this. So not too much going on with this one, unfortunately, right now. We need some more, needs kind of a kickstart. Now, here is what we have going on. You guys saw that there was a violated zone up there. We saw that that was up top, right? This zone here, we hit, we pushed back, and then we blew through this one with news, right? So where we are now, big question is what can we grasp from this? Okay, this thing had a huge ascent. We were up inside of a big level, right? Looking at it on the daily, you can see it pushed the new highs. That's always a great thing. Question is, will it continue? Okay, again, this is a very, very large candle. It's probably the second or third largest candle on this entire thing. One of the cleanest ones. This one has a bit more wick than this one. So again, anytime we see a pop like this, you're always got to be thinking some type of a retracement. Okay, now on the lower time frames, right? Let's bring this across. On the lower time frames, let's reload that data. You guys can see here, we had that big push up, very big spike down, set us a level. We came back up again, but we missed entry. Okay. This is another one of those ones that I'll zoom in so you guys can see it. I don't know if you can see it or not. Just missed. It's another one, just missed. And this wasn't actually a horrible setup. There you go. You guys can see on the 1 hour. It hit. It went all the way through, almost got up to its 1 to 5. And unfortunately, we were unable to get entry on there again. Front run on the CAD yen. It was actually a level that I was looking at, something small. It's not big. The risk on this is, was it 8, sorry, 8 pips total. So I mean, again, it wasn't like you were going for like 90 pips in the other direction. Had you got an entry on there, and again, I did not. It missed it by like I think it's like 1.2 or something like that. You're already up 30 pips in this trade. All right, or it's up 30 right now, moving down to its full profit target, which would have been down here at 56. All right, so it happens. There's 2 different pairs today, guys. We got front run on a minor basis, and again, that's why trading late in the week. That's what can happen. Not much we can do about it. So right now, again, failure to go higher situation. We're having a push down. I'm not really looking to get anything long here until at least we get down to this level, which is about 33 pips away. Okay. The daily ATR on this one is 54, and it's already moved quite a bit today. So, question is, will we make it down there before the end of the day tomorrow? I don't know. Question is, I don't know. I think after the CAD news, I think this one will really start settling out unless there's like major movement in the U.S. stock market. But again, we got to be looking at this top and bottom for Sundays. Okay. More importantly, again, we do it on the 30-minute, not the hourly, but can't see them as clean. You can see them over here on the hourly. So these are 2 zones that we'd be looking for Sunday net gaps. All right. So that's Canadian pair. Let's go to the Swiss. Swiss yen. All right, so Swiss yen had the same thing, pushed it all the way up, and we talked about this yesterday. Skyrocketed up into that zone, didn't quite give us the entry into the top zone that we were actually looking for. It gave us the kind of riskier, more aggressive stance, and then today we had a little bit of pullback from it, right? You guys can see it there, okay? There. So you guys can see, not much movement. It went up and literally ran into that zone, and now it stopped, okay? We'll see. Even with the Japanese news, you see this one really didn't move that much. It didn't have as much of an effect as we saw in the other Japanese pairs. I do expect this one to, kind of push the downside. And again, we have that smaller little Harry Potter thing looking at the downside. It's still over there, but it's got a ways to go. We're talking about 200 pips before we can get down there, so it's got quite a bit of room to run to get back down to this level. Never got our entry. We'll delete that thing that come all the way back down. And you guys can see this on a 30-minute. It's pretty ugly. Came up, came down. Now it's just stuck in. So nothing exciting there as well. Looking at the European pairs. How often the gaps get filled? Pretty much all the time. Gaps in general. Much a gap, and just gaps in general. Gaps will always get filled. It's just a matter of how long they're going to take. Typically in currencies, it's within the first couple of hours. If not, then it'll typically be by the end of the week. Depends on how much movement you have, but it's typically pretty fast. Yeah, there's been a few of those front runners. All right, Euro Aussie. Okay, you guys can see here. Again, Euro Aussie's kind of smack in the middle here, hitting a little bit of a zone. This one really on the daily. Again, it's been popping up. 4 hour, you guys can see we are getting ready to approach. Again, on the daily, we're kind of in the middle, and you can kind of see here's the hiccup in the middle. We're getting close to there now. We're still about 50 pips away from it, which is, it's a 4 hour candle. It's probably another 8 hours, but in 8 hours, we're starting to really run out of daylight, right? In the Aussie pair. So it's getting up there. Looking at it on a daily or on an hourly, you can see gives us a better picture. This is actually a very good zone. I mentioned this last night. This zone has been tested one time and didn't go very far, and then continue to push down. So I like the 1 to 3. Now we have a bit of a reading where that 1 to 3 would actually be. If price pushes higher and it does nothing but greens, the 1 to 3 is in actually a perfect position. So mark this one down in your charts, guys. 164.16 to 164.48, giving us that sideways basing, or actually this was a rally-based drop, and then it has a test on there. So not a bad little kind of grab over here. All right, so pushed up, grab, turn, and flip. So that's Euro Aussie. Looking at, I'm sorry, that was Euro Aussie. Euro New Zealand. So on the daily, we are approaching a supply zone, looking for a potential flip. And again, that's 2 pairs now that are approaching potential supply zones. This one's getting very, very close. On the 4, you guys can see we're very, very close. Actually, we hit the 1, right? Here's the first one. In this case, I'd probably take the top one, not necessarily this one. I mentioned that last night. I like the top one better than this first one. You could take this, but again, I'm more aggressive. Looking at it on the 1 hour, you can see it's reaching a bit. And again, here's where that first zone is. This one is trying to get us to that second zone, right, which is going to be up in this area here. I'll mark that off for you. Over there at 171.53 to 171.75. Okay, so that one's still valid. And again, very similar setup to the Aussie, Euro Aussie. Just this is with the New Zealand pair. Okay, on those pops. Euro dollar. Here's the daily. Right, here's the daily. Really not much movement. It's flat. We're getting really, really close to that weekly zone. I'm really looking forward to that. We're just not there yet. As you guys can see, we're there. Okay. Had you taken that entry in this position, you still didn't hit your 1 to 5. It's been riding just below the 1 to 3. Has not hit the 1 to 5. Got close right here on this little green candle, but not there yet. And again, you guys can see it here on the hourly. Again, this is the zone we're looking for. Mark off 107.32. We're close. I mean, we're about 50 pips from where that zone is. If we can get some more dollar strength tomorrow, say we eat up 30 pips of that tomorrow, right? Say the euro dollar is down 30, right? That would put us, let's see, that'll put us here, okay? That puts us about 20 pips away we could definitely get a 20 pip drop over the weekend, and then again, that would give us an interesting place to get long on a Sunday night. Okay, so that's definitely live and something we need to keep our eyes focused on. But right now, look at this. There's no trend. There's been a little bit of up and down, right? Down, up, a little bit more, and then we consolidate it. Again, you're a lot of European news tomorrow morning, so I do expect some movement in this pair. I have full faith that this can get us down to this zone. If we can get in this zone, then yeah, I'm looking to get long, see a reversal. But until that time, not really doing too much. Okay. Euro dollar, Euro Singapore. So there's the daily. Spike up, spike all the way back down. We were looking at this one last night, that spike up, at least on the daily, you guys dropped, 97 pips. You guys can see on the 4 hour, didn't make it all the way back up again. Since it pulled back, though, it flatlined. Hasn't done anything. You guys can see it here on the hourly, right? Popped all the way up, kind of came down, and then stabilized at this middle position and basically just rode it back and forth. You're talking about a top to bottom of about 25 pips at the most part. So it's kind of like this. And again, you guys can see here on the hourly, ended up just, snagging that thing right there. Oops. 30-minute, you can see it. Hourly literally tagged the very, very bottom of it. But on the daily, we just ended up missing it. Again, no trend, right? No trend. This one is just flatline since that time. So trying to be able to do much with it. Oop, I blew that one up. Oh, there it is. All right, there we go. All right, euro yen. So you guys can see here on the hourly, euro yen ended up coming down and it broke some levels over here, right? So on the daily, we mentioned this yesterday. This was up pretty high in there. We broke this level, which is fine. I mean, levels are going to break, right? We ended up pushing through that level now. And now what do we have now, right? Now's the big question. Well, we got this funky candle, right? Little tiny body, huge wick up top, huge wick on the bottom. It's like, you're killing me. On the lower time frame, you can see it's a little bit cleaner, right? But again, it's kind of blocking us. We missed the entry up top and didn't have anything on the bottom on this one. And again, this is what we have, on the 30-minute right now. Okay, we have some zones up top. I wouldn't use this little zone here. Would not use this little zone here. Up top here is not horrible, but you're talking about 20s. What is that? 29 pips. It's a lot for the 30-minute candle, so it's quite a big zone. I don't know that you necessarily want to be playing something like that. It's just a bit much, right? Just a bit much, and you guys can see it. Most of it was drawn off this the hourly, and there's the candle. That's what it's pulling from. So it's kind of like, I mean, this was a little tiny red body, and then the wick came all the way up. So it's like, not really wonderful, right? And there's the candle in the 30-minute. So it's pulling from like a not great area. So I'd be real hesitant with that one. If anything, I'm looking for it to kind of form some type of a nice drop here, and then that'll be a pullback to kind of play a retrace on this one. And then again, 4 hour, that's what we're looking for, top or bottom. Okay. I think it's about 45. So you'd want to kind of dial this down when we got up to that area. But that's what we're kind of looking for, top and bottom in euro yen. Nothing really. I mean, if anything, if it does roll over, it's got a little base right below here. It's only about 50 pips lower. So we got something sitting right below here, kind of forming a little bit of support. All right, in euro yen. So no, I don't have anything set up overnight for that one. Euro Swiss, you guys can see. We mentioned this the other day, and again, this on the daily. Look how close we are. Kind of a similar situation with the euro dollar. It's right there, right? We go up one day, we go down the next day. It's stuck in the same exact spot. The daily ATR on this one is only 31 pips. So this one is very, very tiny. I mean, like that last zone we talked about was 30 pips. This one on the daily it's only got 30 pips of movement total in a day. We're very, very close, just not there yet. So again, we won't skip the analysis on this guy. And then EuroCAD. Now, EuroCAD, as you can see, this one is actually pulled back a little bit, which is interesting because something made this turn around, right? Something made it. Now, again, we have this downtrend and then a pullback, right? This is definitely a downtrend setup, okay? You guys can see it here, right? Here's your downtrend setup from the upper time frame, right? The 4 hour. Is it pulling into a nice level? Now, there was a bit of a level here. You could have taken this one if you were looking to, get into something, right? But you would have missed your entry on it, okay? We would have missed our entry, and it's just kind of basing now. So I think it's lost a lot of its oomph. Looking at it on an hourly basis, and again, you can see that it actually did pull that zone, right, on a lower time frame. But again, it gives us this top section, which is totally fine. That's not a bad area. We're about 50 pips from that. And again, on this one, the daily ATR is only about 62. So it's most likely going to have a hard time unless the European news is really, really good in the morning, or if that's, good, and then the CAD news is really, really bad. That's about the only way we're going to get up there tomorrow, going into a Friday. And this bottom zone down here again, it's been a decent amount of time here. I don't know that I'd be willing to take longs off of this. If anything, I'd be looking for it to break this zone and then use this zone as, again, kind of the Harry Potter, taking it to the downside, have it break, retest, use this as your risk level, and then have it continue lower. That's probably about the only way that I play this to the downside right now. Or I mean, like I definitely will not take it long. I'm not willing to take this one long. But you'd be doing something along like that. Okay. Ooh, wrong pipe again. I did that last night too. Excuse me. Oh, at least it was tea and not like coffee. God, that would have been horrible. All right, I'm not Aquaman, but that's what we have EuroCAD. So EuroCAD, again, look for the kind of a collapse on that one. So let's go over the pound pairs. Oh, all right. So back up to here. Oh, this is pound New Zealand. Let's go back up. All right. So here's your daily. Okay. All right, daily, you can see again, we are consolidating. I talked about it before. We're getting up to an area where we've had issues with sellers in the past, right? Well, on the 4-hour, you can see where those sellers are, okay? There is the zone that we're kind of getting in. Again, it was tested one time, and we came really, really deep, pushed out, came back again, not as high, pulled back, not as far, and we're kind of just stuck now. So we are technically in an area of supply, but its first attempt into that area didn't go very far. This is the second attempt, and it got pushed out, and then it drove right back into the zone again. So we're on like attempt 3, attempt 4, depending on if you count this little red coming out as another attempt. You're in dangerous territory, So yeah, supply zone, but gotta show a bit of caution on that one, right? And again, this is what it looks like on an hourly. We hit, we came down. We hit, we came down. We came up, we pulled back, not far, hit again, pulled back again. So you can see this zone has been worked left and right. I don't know how much more it's going to hold. At this point, I think if anything, use this as a kind of pop to the top side, right? An upper, whoops, like that, something along those lines, right? I think if we get a pop through, use that as a base area. Oh, the baby's awake. I was like, who's that stomping in the hallway? Use that as kind of a push to the top side. But I don't think I would take this long. I don't think I want to play this channel anymore. Remember, supply and demand is great, but they don't last forever. Okay, it's not like a hard ceiling. Like price can never go above those. Eventually, all the unfilled orders will get eaten up, and it will push through. Okay, and the more times it hits, the more orders they get eaten up, and eventually it's going to fail. And like I said, this one has been riding and hitting that a lot, so I'm expecting this to fail. And then again, a lot of times when you see an area of supply like this, when it pops through, then in that same area, all of a sudden becomes an area of demand, and when it comes down, that's where we get long. Okay, what stock is this? This is actually the pound yen, not a stock. This is the pound yen. Pound Aussie. So pound Aussie is driving. Okay, so this one has actually had 2 good days in a row, which is great because we had a bit of basing. It's trying to pull its retest, but I mean, there's nothing really. There's no zone right now currently above it. Looking at the 4-hour, you can see the 4-hour gives us a little bit better of a picture. And we mentioned this last night. We were sitting over in here, and I said, hey, listen, we got to go up or down. It did kind of go up, but only after it crashed a little bit. So it was good in the fact that we did end higher. We are getting closer to the top or the bottom, but really until we get up into this 197.03, not really a whole lot we can do with it. There's no zones in here on the 4-hour that we can take advantage of. Looking at it on an hourly, you can see it's kind of the same thing. We've got some room to run to the top side. We got about what? I mean, on here, 174 pips. So it's got quite a bit of room to run until we can get up to there. And remember, guys, on the daily, this one moves 144. So it's definitely within striking distance, but it's got to be a big day in the pound. We do have pound news tomorrow, but I think asking for 176 pips on the type of news it is tomorrow is going to be a bit much. So I'd like to see this rally tomorrow have more Aussie weakness, have more pound strength, drive us up and put us up in this upper end of the curve here. And then I'd be looking for gaps to open up into this supply zone. Look to take this short Monday to the downside. Okay, if there's nothing else crazy. All right. So that's pound Aussie. Let's look at pound dollar. Let's go here to reset everything. So you guys can see pound dollar actually broke through that zone. right? Actually broke through. And again, we talked about this last night. It was actually the first of the levels here. It was marking off this zone, this pop. Not really a zone for me. I would want to take the one lower. And I mentioned that. I was looking for this bottom zone, not this top one. We are, what, 50 pips away from that one. This pair was down 22 pips today. Very, very small day. You can see the ATR is 80 pips. So it only did 25% of its actual amount of movement today. But you guys can see on the lower time frame, we had some, we understand why it stopped where it did. Okay, it did run into a 4-hour zone. It did push down. It did head that zone, and then it's now popped a bit. Now, question is it looking for orders? We have an area basing right here. Price dropped, then we based, and then boom, it popped down again. So, there is 3 wicks, so we know that they were established, cleared, established again. Um, maybe worth something small, depending on what's going on. I mean, there's about 50 pips in that area that we could potentially capture, but we know why it stopped where it did. Looking at it on an hourly, you can see the hourly is not super impressive. We had this drop, sideways movement. It did retest it here and then collapsed. And then since that time, it basically just pulled back a little bit and then died on us. So this one's going to need a little bit more catalyst. We'll see. Like I said, I expect that tomorrow will be a bit of movement for this pair in the morning. Again, news tomorrow morning is going to be at 4:30 a.m. flash PMI. If this number pops back over 50, and again, if you guys aren't sure what this is, go ahead and read it. But again, 50, the number is 50. If we're 50 or above, it indicates industry expansion. We're at 49.7, so we're still considered in a negative territory. If we can pop this back over 50, that's pretty good for the pound. All right, so that's kind of I like that. Whoops. There we go. That's kind of what I'm looking for. If we can get that pop, that'll kind of push us a bit higher. That'd be kind of nice. I'd like to see this get a little bit farther cleared out. And again, I think this one is going to be more of a Monday trade. We'll see. Now, if it flatlines on us, does nothing, or it comes down a little bit, I wouldn't mind opening Sunday here. If we open Sunday here, again, that'd be a long signal for me to the top side. That would be something along those lines. And that's not bad. I'd like if this is just a little bit farther down here, but this second one is nice. The 1 to 5 is definitely in an area where we'd be willing to hold that to. There's no real major areas there until we hit that zone. So this is one I'm going to be watching tomorrow pretty closely and see if we can get whether a pullback down, close over here somewhere. And again, look for this potential for Sunday. And again, this could even be a weekly next week. This could be something you take for a weekly, right? One of the longer term binaries next week. Pound CAD. All right, so pound CAD, again, we talked about this top and bottom, right? We always got to start higher. Remember, the lower time frame zones will get burst, but we always got to start with the top one. Did we hit the daily demand zone? No, we got super, super close, but didn't quite enter it in. On the 4-hour, same thing. You guys can see here is that zone that technically got broken, but price hasn't actually left it, right? You guys can see the white line is there. There's the bottom of the zone. We're basically in the same area. So we just came down to it and we stopped. But, and here's the big but in this one, you may or may not trade this pair, right? Pound CAD is a little bit funky. Not everybody trades this, but this is the second pair in a row now, right, that we are sitting very, very close or are sitting in a demand zone. Okay. When you see that across the board, that's again, I mentioned it all week. It's a good sign when everything is sitting in an area that we could have potential bounces off of it. Because again, each of these individual pairs has its own algorithms and own order is sitting in that system. When it hits specific areas, they do specific things. And when they're all sitting in areas of demand, that's typically a good thing. Okay, so again, no trade setup for pound CAD, but again, it's sitting in a demand zone on the daily, which is what we like, okay, going into the next week. Okay, and that could give us a potential kind of pop to the top side, right? Pound Singapore. Hourly didn't do much, kind of came down and just went sideways. So again, there was the big spike from before. Okay, we are sitting high on the curve on this one, but again, we just didn't get entry in that one. Even the spike, we missed this one and then just pulled back and then has stopped, right? Sideways, pop up, and then just flat. So again, no trend, no trade. Pound Swiss. Look at this one. Down, didn't even make it, and came back and again consolidation. So nothing exciting on the daily. Looking on the 4-hour, you can see top and bottom. Not much, not much. It just literally kind of stuck inside of this extended range channel. I'll shrink it a little bit. You guys see it here and here. You're kind of stuck inside of that type of channel. See it down, and again, it actually shrunk even more. I mean, actually, I guess this is probably the better Down, up, down, up, and then heading back down. Pound Swiss. Nothing, nothing. I'm gonna trade overnight on that one. And then now Pound New Zealand's a little bit different, right? Pound New Zealand, we're all obviously high in the curve on this one. All right, we're getting close to the top. On the 4-hour, we are actually entering a zone. And again, I had marked off this top zone here. You can see it kind of overlaid. I'll remove my overlay. Although this one looks like it's probably going to fail. We got a bit higher in the daily to go. Again, this is a bit more of an aggressive entry, right? A bit more aggressive. You guys can see, didn't quite get the entry there. Let's see on the hourly. Oh, we can't even see on the hourly. It's been a while. 30-minute, you can see. 30-minute, we ended up. All right. But there we go. Very messy in the bottom. But again, this is going way back. So this is a pretty old zone. Its initial burst, it literally went all the way to the top. So this one could be a potential retrace target. It's about an 18 pip zone though, with about a 3 pip spread. So it's got a bigger spread on this one. I don't know. I don't know if I feel this one or not. I want to say no, only because we're just a little bit far on the daily. Like I said, we're hitting the 4-hour, but all right. It's changing. 1, 2, 3, 4. That zone is pretty ugly. You can see it respected it here, then we hit it again, then we hit it again. Yeah, I don't think this is going to hold. I think we need to wait a little bit longer. Wait till this one gets up into the 205.63 range. I think is probably the safe bet on this one. This level right here has been hit a bit too much, and I know even though we have on the lower time frame, like on the 30, we're running into a zone. This zone has been hit on the larger time frame multiple times. This is number 4, or number 5 actually. So, yeah, hold off on this one. All right. So that's the pound. Let's go drop down and look at the New Zealand. Whoa, there's a lot of writing. I don't look at the other tab. Hold on, let me see. Let me catch up here. There's forex or same time stock. I do the indices at the end. I'll do oil, gold, silver, and then 3 of the indices. Watch us learn chart flips. Yeah. At least that's what I'm doing. Yeah, that's what JTech does. JTech is trading options using what I'm teaching here, but he does on options. So I'm just warning you about for. They call me Flip. Flip, it's the same. It doesn't matter what chart it is. Everything is exactly the same. No, forex is actually less risky because you have more control over your position size and more liquidity. Yeah, I gave away $1 million just a second ago. You missed it? No, Flip, you didn't miss anything. But Flip, a chart is a chart is a chart. There's no difference, buddy. It doesn't matter if it's a stock, a commodity, a futures contract, an options contract. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. If you have buyers and sellers, you have a market. The type of analysis I do is not based off of any specific market. I like currencies because obviously there's a lot of different things I could trade. I actually cannot do anything with stock. My wife is a financial advisor, or I guess in the process of becoming a financial advisor. So she's limited. Like I have a limited ability to keep my money at different brokerage firms. Currencies actually gives me the freedom where they actually don't regulate me as much. But I don't know if you're familiar with like the financial services realm at all. I used to be a financial advisor. I used to carry 7 and 66. And it's like when you work for a firm or someone in your family works for a firm, if you're playing the stock market, so like for me, if I want to do options on Apple, I would actually have to submit all my trades ahead of time and then get approval from their compliance department to make sure that I didn't have any, inside information or my wife didn't give me any inside information. And it doesn't actually make trading very feasible. So I tend to stay in the currencies market where they actually don't regulate it. They don't care because obviously there's no way for, there's no such thing as inside information that she'd have access to as a financial advisor. So it's a little bit different. So I'm allowed to do things on indices, right? So I'm allowed to, I can do things like Nadex. Nadex is also not regulated, and because it is only based off the exchanges or something like oil, I'm allowed to do those things. But anything else beyond that, I can't. In my own accounts, I can analyze anything. You know, it doesn't matter what the chart is. You can always analyze it. So hopefully that makes sense. New Zealand CAD. New Zealand CAD daily, guys, is approaching a demand zone. Guys, you can see the last time we hit here, not only did we spike out, we came back and retested and popped out of it. So that's always a good sign. Now, is this going to be tradable? I don't know. I mean, 4 hour, again, we're hitting the demand zone, but it's pierced all the way to the end of it. If anything, I think this is probably where we're going to end up for the weekend. Hourly, we can't see anything. 30-minute, we can't really see anything. So big question is, let's see. How was the zone formed? Not a bad zone. Okay, so here's the zone. Not a bad zone, right? Price came in, and again, is this the actual zone? No, this is the actual zone. Okay, this is actually the first test off of that, and you guys can see it was a heck of a zone. So the zone is actually a bit lower. I would probably mark the zone off there, which is actually right below. Okay, now if it breaks that, yeah, it's kind of off to the races, at least down to this range here. Problem is that you only got about, let's see, you only got about 30 pips to the downside, right? So is risking 17 pips or 18, actually, let's see, 17 and a half pips for 30 pips a good risk to reward ratio? No. No, it's not even a 2-to-1 risk to reward. So not really the best of trades. I would love to say if this was a good zone, if this was the actual base over here, I would love to say let's take a Harry Potter off this on the bottom, right? Because that risk level, the painted zone is only about 14. That's not bad. And the opposing zone is about 81. Not bad, right? You gotta love those. That's a great risk to reward ratio. But the problem is the zone is actually a bit below, right? So for us to come down and breach up, there's only about 30 pips, and you're risking it's about a 1 to 2. So not really worth it. And that's one of the problems I have with a lot of New Zealand pairs. Now, as you can see on the daily for the New Zealand dollar, also quite close to a demand zone. Okay, and you guys can see on a daily, this is a pretty big one, right? Price has not been down here long. It came lower and then hit here and now came up again. So the zone marked this one off, or the zone tool marked this one off as an area. Again, it met the requirements. I would still say that the zone is probably back here. I would say that this is probably more the zone I would have used. And again, this would have been the entry, not necessarily for. Again, you could use this as an aggressive entry, but I would say that it's probably a bit lower. I like where the white box is. I love the way these candles are formed, how you have them, the ascending wicks. Obviously, price came down. It went sideways, and that's where it popped out of. Indicator obviously didn't mark it off, but again, you would have gotten an entry off of that level right into there, right? Oops. Move it here so you guys can kind of see it. There. Okay, that's where my zone would have been my entry. See, we got to go a little bit farther. So that one needs to go down about 50 pips until we hit that zone. The daily ATR is only 46, so we got a little bit more room to run. So I'd be looking more for that. Okay, so we got about over 1 ATR until we actually hit that zone. Okay, now could we get front run on this one? Sure, probably, but I'm gonna wait till it gets down to here and then look to take trades on Sunday on that one. New Zealand yen. Let's see. Man, this thing has just been ding, 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 ding. This is like pinball back and forth. So, okay, so here, this is an easy one. Right? Down, sideways, boom. Ding, 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 ding. Bouncing back and forth. And again, you guys can see that the overall, what I've marked. Whoops, not that. There's my white box. So it looks like they just got a kind of a little bit more of an aggressive one. It formed a new level here, right? Up, sideways, boom. Indicator drew it. Drop, sideways drop. Again, we talked about that last night. Came back up, and this is where we were. So as you guys can see, this is where we are right now. You guys see at the bottom right here, it says 21 for the current candle. And when we go back, 21 is right here. So this is where we were last night, same time. It went up, pulled back, touched, came back around, over, up, touched, and we're in the same exact spot. So it's moved about 35 pips, 36 pips. But again, this is what I'm talking about, right? There's your 1 to 3. You can say, oh, yeah, we hit it right now, right? But at the same time, we could have drawn this the other direction too, right? I'll move this one. I could have drawn, hold on. I could have drawn this and said, hey, wait a second. Price came down and then shot right back out of the top, right? I could have drawn a zone there. So you guys see how it's kind of boxed in? So we only draw one side. It's like, yeah, I got enough room, but it's kind of basic. Now, taking it all the way to the downside, again, that's probably not a horrible idea, but um, again, you guys can see in the last 24 hours, this one really hasn't moved too much. So, and it's pulling back right now. So we'll see if this one continues. Again, that was on the hourly, or I'm sorry, on the 4 hour. The hourly, you can see, again, it's back and forth, has been very kind of spotty back and forth. Again, a little bit of a level right here. It does look like it's going to break. We have our red and then a bit of a green. We'll see if it can break lower. There may be a trade in this one tomorrow on one of the lower time frames. I don't know. If you were around, you could have probably tried to snag that one, but not bad. I mean, I wouldn't have. I wasn't looking at this one. This was let's see, this was 2.5 hours ago. So we're talking like 7:30. I was eating dinner, so I didn't grab this one. But I guess if you guys were looking at it on the 30-minute, you could have grabbed it. Honestly, a lot of the yen pairs, particularly Aussie yen. Aussie yen has been great on the 30 minutes. I don't know for anybody that has the indicator. Make sure you definitely click down and look at the 30 minutes. I'm finding a lot of the very small levels on the 30 minutes have actually gotten hit a lot in the last 2-3 weeks. I didn't grab this one, but I don't know. I think going into tomorrow, I think I'll probably pay more of the pound pairs versus this one. New Zealand Swiss. You guys can see it's pretty low. Yeah, we're super low in the curve here, and I don't have any demand below. Oh, the 4 hour we do have some demand. So 4 hour we're actually sitting in a demand zone. That's kind of interesting. Let's see if we have anything on the hourly. No, it's gonna have to be on the 4 hour. So let's go back and check that zone. Spent a lot of time down here. A lot of time. Let's see, can I see much below that? Don't really spend much time below that. So if you're looking for an extension, you could probably go lower. Let's see, how big is it? It's only about a 15 pip zone. I can see this on a lower time frame. Let me see. Maybe I can. Let's see. Ooh, it's not even. See, I'm gonna move this down. I'm not gonna be able to do anything with that. All right, so what I would probably do, that's at the bottom too. All right, so that's actually not a bad placement then. So what I was doing was I was trying to pull this down to figure out kind of on the lower time frame where the actual zone was, because again, this zone that I just drew here, this yellow, is based off of the 4 hour. Now you saw when I dropped it down on an hourly, I had to go way back and I had to keep picking level out to be able to find the top of one of those levels. It just happened to mark off that it was the exact line where the bottom of this 4 hour target was. Okay. Now, obviously, this is the top of the of it on a smaller time frame. Again, there were some of those spikes that came through the bottom. It just happened to work out that it's exactly at the same spot. So again, this zone is probably not a bad little zone to take a break, which means we've driven deep into the demand zone back there. Wait for the retest, see if we can get some black space under there. Again, a little trick to that is if you can draw, a triangle in there with enough space that you can see the four sides, right? Then you're able to take that trade. So look for price to, hold on. Price comes down, breaks and goes around the triangle, take it short to the downside. Okay. Again, the little Harry Potter lightning bolt, right? Is kind of what the joke is we use for that one. All right. that's New Zealand Swiss. Let's go over to the U.S. pairs. Yeah, see, the 30 minutes have been, I'm telling you, they've been doing well. All right, let's see. What did this one do? It went straight up. Look at that. So this one, guys, is up 55 pips in the last 24 hours. Its daily ATR is just happens to be 55 pips. So we've moved all the way up. It's funny. There's actually a little green here. There must be a wick over wick on this one. But you're seeing. So we're inside a daily supply right now. Interestingly enough, we talk about how we will always want to end Fridays on a good note. Where this one is setting up, looks like this one could be heading and flipping and turning to the downside. Again, daily zones typically are, pretty nice zones. You typically get somewhat of a retracement off of it. Looking on the 4 hour, let's see. 4 hour, we don't really have anything. Again, we know that we had that zone up top. No real zone. Again, nothing right below. There is a zone down here. And again, it's not being marked off, but there is a zone sitting right there, which is, wow, about 70 pips down. So the way that this is looking, if this flips back to grab some orders, it needs to pull back, about 70 pips, which is more than what we were able to gain today. On the hourly, kind of the same thing. Look, there's no zone here, interesting enough, and we do have a couple lower highs in here. So I wonder if those daily sellers were hiding in the very top of that zone and then stepped in. So to me, again, we had this nice little push down. This one did go higher, but again, this is kind of one of those, on the lower time frame failure to go higher situations. You have something along those lines, right? Right? And again, what is it going to run into? I mean, you got plenty of room there. Let's see on the 30-minute, what do we got? Oh, look, it 30 mark, it already marked it off for us. So I'll remove my hourly window. There's the 30-minute window that it marked off, and you can kind of see how that one is set up. And again, it's got a zone down here that we should be looking to get out. So again, I'll remove my higher time frame zones that I drew, and it's looking at something like that, right? Looks like the entry zone, or like basically the parameters on that one, were 112.08 to 112.22. So not a big zone, right? 14 pips. The 1 to 3, fine location. It's here. That's actually a nice little spot for the first target, right below where this one is. So again, that's valid. And the 1 to 5 again before the major, the 4 hour zone here. So that's not a bad little short in the overnight. Like I said, looking at it, that's kind of what I would say is probably not a bad little setup. We'll see how that one flips in the morning. Dollar Swiss. Let's go daily. Still waiting for it to get up here. We're not there. We're running to this kind of junk right now, so the analysis is going to be rough on this one. There's a lot of junk that is. I mean, this is a lot of junk in here. So nothing good. I'm going to wait till it gets back up here. I'll wait till next week on this one, so we'll skip any analysis on that. Dollar CAD. You can see dollar CAD was a nice pop today. Dollar CAD is up 26. Not crazy amounts. There is a wick over wick, it looks like, on this time frame. Okay. And this is what we got going on right now on the 4 hour. Okay. It's giving us a level there. You could use that level. That's probably a level. And again, you've seen it actually kind of go back and forth. Let's see. I wouldn't use it on this one, on the hourly. I still like the one that's hand drawn up here the best so far. 30-minute, it is breaking that zone down a little bit more. It's a really crappy candle, though. It's a really crappy candle. This one right here. So yeah, not too much into that. There's your 4 hour zone. I don't know if you guys saw what I did there. I don't know if you guys know this. So if you guys have the tool, right, these are the alerts down here, right? This is just a pop-up alert. This is your email alert. And then N is your SMS alert. And then obviously the back testing and those things. If you click the one over here that doesn't say anything, if you hover it over it, what it does is it overlays zones. So like if I click it right now, you'll see it says the 1 hour. So what it's doing is in the dotted lines, it's showing me where the 1 hour zones are. Clicking again, it's showing me where the 4 hour zone. So I could see kind of where we were in the 4 hour zone. And we can drop down time frame to time frame and time frame, but this is a way to say, okay, well, here's the 4 hour time frame. I know that I'm inside of that supply zone. And now I can see, okay, well, in the 30-minute, here's the actual upper reaches on the lower time frame inside of that larger time frame, or inside of that supply zone, right? And then I can go up to a daily and see, okay, well, the daily zone is actually sitting up here, right? So I can kind of, they overlay, and you can kind of get an idea of where they're at. So again, here's like my 1 hour. You can see the 1 hours here and here. Click it again. There's my 4 hours. So there's my 4 hour zone. There's my 4 hour bottom, and you can kind of see where it's at. So I don't know if you guys use that tool at all. Play with that one though. It's not a bad little tool. So again, You always want to get the most conservative entry. We're a little bit close. We're there. We're close. We're inside of the larger time frame, but we'll see if this one flips. And the way this one looks too, it looks like this one is going to be probably a bit more bearish tomorrow too, which coincides with what we saw in the other one. And then dollar Singapore. Look at that. So close. More pit bitterness. So close. And then we've just flatlined since. Look at this. Spike up, spike down. We ended that candle, and then we've ridden the line. Man, talk about boring. Look at that. 24 hours of nothing. I'll make it big. I even want to make it big. It's not impressive looking. So, not too much there. We'll see if that one retraces next week. All right, let's go into the last charts. You like the overlay feature? All right, so here's the Dow. I marked that one up first. Remember last night when I said I could see the Dow going down tomorrow? Based off of what we heard, based off of what we're seeing, I could see the Dow going down. Well, here's where we were last night at chart school, right? And this is what the Dow did today. And then finally came back up and kind of pushed over to the side. But yeah, that's quite a large drop, right? So we'll see how it's set up. And again, why? Because we were seeing this thing kind of pull up on the daily. On the 4 hour, this is what we had yesterday, right? We were kind of sitting up inside of that zone, and we had basing, right? So I'll remove the gray, right? Just get it so you can see it, right? We were sitting down in here, right? So here's where we were. Here's where we are right now. And here's where we were last night. I was like, oh, we're right before. If we come back up and touch it, again, it's putting in the zone right there. What did it do? This candle right here. The next candle, 6 a.m. this morning, or actually I guess between 2 and 4 this morning, it popped up and touched that zone and then collapsed. It moved, in all honesty, guys, it moved farther than I thought it was going to move. I didn't think it was going to move that much, but you guys were able to see if you were up and you were able to catch this one. There was a zone that we talked about last night, and bam, it blew through. Didn't hit its 1 to 5. I thought the 1 to 5 target would be good if it was able to break, but this is more move. I didn't expect it to do it in one day. I did actually expect it would take a bit more time than that. But again, analysis is the same. We had that basic. So where we are now on the daily, you guys can see it kind of pushed back down. Here, I'll delete this so we can get a better view of it. There's the daily, right? So again, is there a lot of movement? No. I mean, obviously we have this cap on there. We've pushed down. We've retested it one time. This one got front run, didn't even make it on the daily. On the 4 hour, you guys can get the same picture, right? There's the gap. We ended up forming a new zone. We retested it. We pushed back down again. Now, it hit into this area. Not the best area, but I mean, obviously there's something sitting there. Looking at it on the 1 hour, okay? Now, we pulled about 60% on the way back. We pushed down. Again, we are still putting in lower highs on this one. We'll see it because it is putting in higher lows as well. So, interesting setup. And one of the things I noticed about this one is we have a level here, nice push off of it. Level here, nice push off of it. Level here, gap, obviously there was a push. Level right above, which this one's not okay, and then obviously the peak, right, the high. So the one thing I look at this and I say, okay, listen, what is the path of least resistance? Would it be easier for this to go down right now or break through all this stuff for an all-time high? To me, it looks like it'd be easier for this to fall over. Now, it may move up and it may kind of end up over here. It may be a small kind of slow, just slightly positive day. But right now, it's got to break through 4 or 5 levels. So the top side where we've seen kind of an explosive push down for it to drop. Okay, so for me, at least on the hourly and even on the 4 hour, right? I mean, you're seeing these big zones up here. It's got a little bit here, right? But to me, it looks like it's probably, a little bit more bearish. So we'll see how it turns out tomorrow. Again, I don't like doing 2 minute the indice right now overnight, just because we've had so much retracement. Big move down, big move back up again, and this kind of peaked. This cap right here, right? So I don't do too much with that. S&P, right? S&P on the daily, you can see again down day, right? We talked about this last night. Kind of a cat. Now this one did go a bit higher, and I said this one was a little bit harder, right? Let's load the new data in. There we go. Didn't hit the zone. So this one was a bit harder to grab. We got front run of both positions before this thing absolutely collapsed. Now, this one did go back to a zone in which was identifiable right there. Okay, so this one is definitely one you could have been looking for some type of a long off of. And again, very easy zone to grab. Very, very easy zone, guys, right? Very simple, right? Pop. I mean, it's green, red base, green pop. Very, very easy zone. It's the best looking zone that we've had down here, right? Similar to this bottom one, but that's a perfect target, right? I mean, then that ended up hitting over here at 33, what is it? 33.39. We'll just call it 33.40. And then price ended up going all the way back up to 33.74. So I mean, 35-point move to the top side off that level, and that's the cleanest, easiest looking thing to grab over here. Yeah, yeah. So again, definitely a trader's market, right? This is definitely a trader's market. Okay, intraday. All right. Where we are now, and again, look at this one. It's like, hey, listen, we're starting to push. We're starting to make lower lows in here, right? So again, I feel the same way that this one is set up more for a bearish kind of, more day going into Friday, right? I mean, we have a red, a green, a red. Green didn't go as high, a big red down. Green didn't go as high, a new red, right? Didn't go quite as low, but it closed lower. We're seeing a green again. It's like, can we make another push down again? I'd have to say that I'm bearish on the S&P also. Looking at the NASDAQ, look at this one. Go to the daily. This one has definitely made a push back, right? 4 hour. Again, we have a red, we have a green, and the red came back up and touched before collapsing on the 4 hour. You guys see that? Talk about that cap that got put in there. Came back up here and retouched it, and then boom, collapsed. Okay, on the 1 hour, you can see the 1 hour got a little front run, right? Would not have been able to get your entry. So close, yet so far. And you guys can see it drove all the way down to the zone. Okay. Now, again, this would have been a profit zone, not necessarily a place to buy. I mean, not horrible, right? The last time, here was where the zone was formed from. Zone came down, touched the top, pulled over, and then boom, it drove pretty deep. So I don't expect this zone to hold again, just because the zone was basically pushed all the way to the very, very brink of extinction before it disappeared. And again, didn't pull all the way back up again. We have a high, another pullback high, another pullback high. And you see how they're going down, lower, 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 lower? Okay, now again, yes, pulled back to here, but didn't touch this, right? So again, I feel like this is definitely a negative sentiment as well. So I don't know, maybe this week it won't be going, a positive weekend. I just feel like that's what we're seeing on all the charts. Looking at gold, right? Gold pushed higher and higher and higher. And again, stock market goes down, gold tends to go up, right? That's kind of what we're seeing. And there's not even anything we can grab, right? When you keep going higher like this, there's nothing, there's no zones, right? So gold is not in a situation where we're ready to short. Now, as soon as we start to get this kind of pullback to the downside and we form a level, then yeah, then we're good. But we haven't quite seen that yet. None of these levels have actually been put in and given us any type of sell yet. Okay, so keep your eye on that one. And then we have silver. Okay, silver is kind of the same thing. Now, silver actually has some stuff above, right? But we got some room to run. Okay, we're at 1844 right now. We do have a level at 1922. So if we're able to get up to there, again, that's a big move in a day. At least we have something higher, right? On the 4 hour, right, you guys can still see that there is a level on the 4 hour. This is kind of just junk right now, but it's the same thing. It's at 1948 now. So a lot of room to the top side. Hourly, same thing. We don't see anything. And again, excuse me, the candles back there were not really the best candles. So again, we don't really have too many easy supply zones. And I think at this point, let's see. Let's go into the weekend. Let's see if we can get the indices to flip out. If we can get the indices to flip and start pushing this back down again, I don't think that'll be bad. What I think, and the reason why, so there is an explanation of why I think gold is continuing to push higher. With the markets where they are right now, the comments that have been made, inflation is not a real big thing, right? People aren't talking too much about, or basically, I'm sorry, they're not talking about raising interest rates a bunch, right? Well, the economy is obviously doing well, which running it this cheaply for this long, your inflation tends to go higher, and gold and silver tend to be a hedge for inflation. So that's why you're seeing those two markets rise. You know, like I said, they start seeing a pullback, then they're like, oh, we're going to keep interest rates even lower. And again, the market's not doing horrible, Not too bad. So that's what we got going there. Oil. Oil. Under 54. Under, not 50. I'm not going to. Here's the 4 hour. There's some interesting things. Again, the gap got broken. It did push higher. And I'm going to mark this one off again. This is a nice level of basing here. I'm starting at 55.44. Sorry, 55.47. It's it's $1 away or $2 away. I don't think we'll get there tomorrow. I don't think there's any reason why there's a $2 oil jump, but it's just a level I want to keep marked off for next week. Looking at on the daily, yes, oil is awesome. Looking at on the daily, you guys can see we are, or I'm sorry, on the hourly, you're starting to see a flip in this one, right? We're getting reds and greens, and then pullbacks and reds down again. But again, it's still pretty far from a level, right? On the 30-minute, kind of the same situation. Let me reload the 30-minute data. There we go. There's a zone up top. Now, it is nice that there's a cap, right? It's pushing down. We have some base, and we're pushing again. There are some buyers right below where we are, though. So we're at 53.57 right now. There are buyers that step into this market at 52.59. I'm sorry, 52.95. So, I mean, the fear in this one is, can we drop $1 in a day? I mean, sure. I mean, it could drop $1 in a day. But will it go much farther than that? Don't know going into a Friday. I feel like tomorrow won't be as much of a mover, but again, oil has been one of those things we've really had to focus on the intraday movements and take these kind of small things. But even today, while it was going negative, not a whole lot into this one, right? There wasn't really too much. I mean, if you guys look back in this time frame in here, this is where we were, right? Like this is where we are right now. You'll see it says 6. We go back from in here, a lot of basic. So we had one pop and then one pull back down again. And even 15-minute windows, you guys can see here. I think 15 pulls from the hour. The 15-minute is actually giving us a level up top, but not a lot of trending sideways. So, not too much in that one. Okay, so oil is one of those ones that's kind of like, it's pulling back, but we want it down here. We want it down here. Go 50, go 50. That's what I'm hoping for. All right. Like I said, oil's been an intraday kind of trade more than anything else. All right, guys. So with that being said, it is 10:27. Looks like we got 13 entrants right now. Now remember, tonight, adjust my microphone there. Tonight is not for pip chips. Tonight is for the weekly report, right? And if you guys haven't been over the new website, let's see. Go in. Let's see. Content, courses. You will see all these different courses over here. So what it is it's going to be for the weekly breakdown. And then you'll basically get 1 month subscription to it. You don't have to give me any other information if you're not a student already. All you have to do is basically sign in. I will send you a link. And then once you are in the system, so I can see in here, support my students, I can see every single one of my users. Okay. Once I see you logged in, depending on who wins, I will go ahead and give you guys 30 days. If you guys already have the subscription, I will extend it another 30 days out. Remember, it's not actually set up on subscription. It's set up on a 30-day plan. So if you did purchase it once and it's been a month, yours is expired. All right. But whoever wins tonight, I will go ahead and give you guys this weekly plan. And don't forget, inside of the weekly plan, click on it. Actually, hold on. I can show you guys the. Let me pull it over here real quick. It's hard for me to do a lot of stuff on that menu. I can show you guys what the actual page looks like now. Where is it? Weekly breakdown. So this is what it's going to look like now. So when you go to the page and ask what it is, this is what it is. You'll see it's $10 right here, and it says right above it's $250 a week. You guys will see now. It talks about what the high potential news releases are, what the weekly curve location is for, and what it's meant to tell you, what the Sunday night gaps look like, right, and why you would use them, and then also the high quality supply and demand levels. Got to get this disclosure kind of over across here, but I think once I remove that logo, I'll be good. But so that's what it looks like right now for the people that are unfamiliar with what it is. So if you haven't done it already, please go ahead and do the exclamation point ticket. I want everybody to be able to get in there. And remember, this is a non-bias. It doesn't matter if you are a subscriber or not a subscriber. I do not have the luck function on, even though that obviously is a function. But I do not have it. And I've never seen that function before. But yes, there is a luck slider bar that I can give subscribers more luck. But I chose to make tonight fair across the board. So subscriber, no subscriber, you're good to go. No wonder we're not getting the ticket confirmation. Yes, you won't see the ticket confirmation because it's a different contest, Ernest. But here's all the people that have entered so far. Don't worry, Ernest. You were in as last. Okay? All right. So I've been talking about it. You've had enough time. I'm going to shut it down. Let's see. Debbie's in for 1. JTech's in for 2. Sean's in for 1. You guys are good. All right. Luck equals that. All right. Closing it down, guys, and let's see. And the winner of tonight's drawing for the weekly report is James. James. Wow. Look at that. Mr. James. James, I'm pretty sure you're in the system already. Over there, actually, I know you are because you have some classes. So everyone's like, it's rigged. I don't think James has won this year yet. I don't think he's won this year. I really don't think he's won this year yet. James, have you won in 2020? All right, guys. So James is our resident. James is our resident memester after our wins. So I feel like James is I feel like James is the James. I'm extending it right now, so it'll go to. So you will get. Let's see. Today is the 20th, so it will go to March 20th. Um, there you go. James is good. James right there. You can see it right there, James. You have it till March 20th, 2020. Congratulations, my friend. Put it to good use. It's been doing some good pips every single week. I think we haven't done less than 60, and we've done up to like 140. So it's been doing good. So congratulations on your win, James. That's awesome. I'm going to mark giveaways complete. Again, so I can go in there. And just so you guys know, so you can see the functions, look at this. See down here? Look, I'm going to hit copy. Look, there's the exact thing. Look, subs get no special treatment. But look at this. I can actually make it 2 times the chance of winning, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Man, they make this so you can definitely rig it for subscribers. But I left it at nothing. But that's pretty interesting, right? I was like, huh. It's like, wow. Like, I feel like some of these people, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, like, seriously, like 10 times winning chance for a subscriber. It's like, wow. I don't know. I left it. I wanted to be as fair as possible. You guys know I'm all about fairness with everybody. Equality for all. All right, guys. With that being said, you guys have a great weekend. It's 10:30. I am out of here. I will see you guys again. Weekly report will be done and released most likely by about 5:15 on Sunday, about 15 minutes after the market opens. And I will probably I'll probably be working on it a bit tomorrow, getting some of the curve locations and everything set up for next week. But I'll probably wait to publish any of that stuff until Saturday. But most likely, again, you could log on at 4:30. Most of that stuff is done, and then I do the Sunday night gap is the last thing I do at 5 o'clock. I'm sitting here sharp, and I'll be talking about trade setups as they go. So also, last little bit, again. Next week, it's not next week, it's the week after. March 3rd, mark your calendars off. There will be a webinar for Nadex. It's going to be I believe it's going to be at 12 noon Eastern. So if you guys are home or whatever, thankfully they are believers now. There's a new guy over there, and they're big believers now in. They're like, listen, if people attend it live, great, but we really want to make sure that we have a library that people can go back to and watch replays, kind of like a video on demand system. So they're definitely going to be really focused on and creating a good content for that as well. So even if you can't catch it live, do me a favor, make sure you go over there and watch it on the replay. And the first one will be parabolic retracements, and the second one will actually be news breakout. So it's kind of like the what do we do after news on the 3rd, and then on the 19th, it'll be like how do we play it before the news. So it'll be 2 interesting webinars for you guys to watch. As soon as I get registration links for it, I'll definitely put it out to the group. All right? So you guys take care, have a good week, and thank you so much for joining. Take care.